A massive dragon roars as someone announces the opponent has arrived. Suddenly, Alex the Paladin charges forward with his sword ready, but the monster slashes at him with deadly claws. In that tense moment, Alex calls out to Roland, the leader, for backup. But the cocky idiot warns that he's the leader and supposed to be giving orders. Eventually, they manage to defeat the dragon, and Roland, as usual, tries to steal the spotlight, saying the creature wasn't actually that big of a deal. But Ellie, the party mage, runs up to Alex, excitedly praising him for defeating the dragon. Alex tries to act humble, saying he's just doing his job, but Ellie shouts there's no need to be humble about his victory. Meanwhile, watching Ellie praise Alex so much, Roland is dying of envy, clearly annoyed by all the attention. So before leaving the mission site, Roland tells Alex he needs to talk to him about something important at the inn. At the inn, Roland tells Alex he has very few attack skills and because of that, isn't suitable for an S-class party like theirs. As the party leader, Roland coldly asks Alex to leave the party. Alex remains quiet as Roland insults him to his face, saying he's too slow and can't even avoid enemy attacks. Pointing accusing fingers, Roland tells Alex he's just a stupid burden as a paladin. Alex finally speaks and asks if Ellie shares the same opinion, and Roland responds, claiming Ellie and the others are in agreement. To make matters worse, the envious imp tells Alex that he and Ellie have been lovers for a long time. Heartbroken, Alex listens as Roland declares that, as party leader, this is his decision about the group's composition. He says the party doesn't need a tank, and the rest of the members, including Ellie, are on board. Since everyone agrees, Alex leaves as requested and walks out. On the way, Alex bumps into Ellie, who asks where he's going. But remembering what Roland told him about oiling her punani, Alex ignores her. As he walks through town, Alex considers rejoining another party, but reasons he might just get kicked out again. So he decides to head to the guild to find a job. When Alex arrives at the guild, the receptionist Tabitha then asks what kind of job he would like to start with. Alex, in turn, asks if there are any good jobs where he doesn't have to interact with other people. After a brief pause, she excitedly tells Alex she has the perfect option for him. She informs him that there's a vast expanse of land he can explore freely at his own pace, and the reward for completing the job is ownership of the land. Alex thinks it sounds a bit shady, but Tabitha clarifies that the guild tried developing the land in the past, but for some reason, all the farmers they hired ran away. Alex asks if it's because of monsters, and Tabitha confirms it but adds that, as an S-class adventurer and paladin, he should handle this kind of dangerous work just fine. Alex thinks deeply about the job. Though it's long and painstaking, it's perfect for a paladin like him. With that, Alex says he understands and accepts the job. Tabitha then takes him to the teleportation room, and as Alex steps inside the magical circle on the ground, he disappears in a flash of light. Suddenly, Alex finds himself transported inside a simple hut. The place is scattered, showing clear signs that previous farmers fled in terror. Just then, Alex senses an ominous presence lurking nearby as something moves in the shadows. Suddenly, weapons fly toward him, and Alex deflects the projectiles with lightning speed as a massive monster bursts through the wooden walls. The creature roars, declaring that humans have finally come to this cursed land. Alex draws his sword and prepares for battle, while the monster taunts him, calling him a coward who only knows how to defend. But Alex declares that if the monster wants a real fight, he'll gladly give it to him. Alex charges forward with his Holy Cross attack, and the powerful technique cuts through the air, slicing the demonic creature into two equal halves. As the monster vanishes into thin air, a mysterious voice announces that the person who defeated the demon King Mammon's servant shall receive extra skills as a reward. A magical circle appears before Alex, as the voice declares he has been granted the powerful slave release ability. The mysterious voice explains that this skill frees one slave and summons them to fight alongside him in battle, and can only be used once every 7 days. Lastly, the entity urges Alex to use his new power to protect those who have been liberated. Alex then decides to test his newfound ability right away. He activates Slave Release, watching magical energy swirl around him. Suddenly, a figure materializes from the magical circle on the ground. A pretty elf girl with long, blonde hair, still wearing chains around her neck. The blonde elf then looks up at Alex with curious eyes and asks if he is her new master. Alex stares in shock as the elf girl nervously calls him master, leaving him speechless. Suddenly, the elf girl, terrified, flinches backward, pleading not to be hurt. Confused, Alex realizes she's scared of his sword and quickly puts it aside, apologizing softly for startling her. Smiling gently, Alex reassures the elf girl there's nothing to fear. He explains his slave release skill and proudly announces she's been liberated. The elf girl stares blankly until suddenly her slave collar cracks and shatters, leaving her amazed that she's truly free. But just as relief sets in, the elf girl clutches her stomach, clearly hurting from a burning sensation. Concerned, Alex asks if she's all right, and while struggling through the pain, she bravely replies she's fine. After a brief moment later, she tells him that the slave crest on her body has disappeared completely. Smiling warmly, Alex says he's relieved the skill worked perfectly, assuring her she's truly free. Overjoyed, she thanks Alex, glowing with newfound happiness. Introducing themselves properly, Alex reveals he's a paladin, and the elf girl shares that her name is Lydia. Hearing that Alex is a paladin, Lydia is intrigued. She asks if paladin isn't some kind of rare class or something. In response, Alex shares his past. In this world, at a tender age, people are granted a class. As an expert of defense, Alex was given the rare class of a holy knight, a paladin, while his childhood friend Roland received the hero class, tasked with defeating the Demon King. Alex quietly remembers how Roland had sworn to protect his friends, but bitterly admits he was fired by Roland. Lydia notices Alex's distant look and gently asks what's wrong, but Alex quickly denies anything is bothering him, saying he's just curious about Lydia's class. Lydia then reveals that she is a shaman, which is also called a spirit user. Intrigued, Alex asks Lydia about her shaman magic, admitting he's never met one before. Playfully, Lydia teases him, asking if he is interested in her. Embarrassed, Alex quickly changes the subject, suggesting they head outside to check their surroundings and perhaps see Lydia's magic in action. Excited, Lydia eagerly agrees, promising to show him something amazing. Stepping outside, Alex freezes, shocked by the barren wasteland before them. He couldn't believe he's expected to develop this harsh, empty land on his own. Lydia is also stunned hearing that he is supposed to develop the wilderness. When she asks if he is in any way getting any kind of support, Alex says no and that he didn't hear about any support coming. However, he mentions that household items will be transferred later, but he's uncertain if any farm tools will be available. Noticing Alex's distress, Lydia boldly steps forward, volunteering to help. She tells him that with such a massive land, it's impossible to develop something alone. Alex hesitates, reminding her that she's finally free, but Lydia insists, begging that he allows her to use her power. She unleashes her shaman's magic known as the breath of the earth, and suddenly the ground trembles as a vibrant tree grows from the cracked earth, astonishing Alex. Seeing how surprised Alex is, Lydia explains that shamans use the power of spirits to create life and manipulate the earth. She then leans closer and asks Alex if he thinks she can truly be helpful now. Alex nervously replies that, while he appreciates her offer, she'd essentially be living with him, wondering if that's okay. Lydia blushes deeply, admitting she's more than happy about it, her voice trembling with emotion. With a warm smile, Alex agrees, and together they begin their pioneering adventure. However, Alex remains unaware of a critical detail. The land he must develop is actually a demon territory filled with monsters. With Lydia's magic providing long-term food supply, Alex is confident they don't have to rely so much on immediate food supply from the guild. So now the next goal would be to develop a safe living space. But suddenly, their peace shatters as a shadowy figure approaches ominously from the distance. Lydia gasps in fear, recognizing the beast as a dangerous shadow wolf. Instinctively, Alex commands Lydia to stand back. As the monster thuds forward, Alex quickly asks Lydia to fetch his sword from the hut. Lydia obeys, rushes inside, grabs the weapon, and hands it over to Alex, though Lydia urges caution that shadow wolves are powerful monsters and should not be fought alone. She then offers to use her magic to help, but Alex fearlessly assures her it's all right, swiftly launching into battle. Displaying incredible strength, Alex unleashes consecutive Holy Cross attacks, obliterating the beast completely. Lydia looks stunned, unable to believe Alex's overwhelming power. She rushes over to meet him, saying she never believed he could defeat the shadow monster all by himself, but Alex shrugs off the compliment. However, Lydia warns that shadow wolves have a unique weakness to holy attributes, making them notoriously dangerous. Alex agrees, emphasizing the need to reinforce their area around the house to prevent future attacks. Grabbing a farm tool, Alex plans to start digging the soil to make a protective pit and build a stone wall. But Lydia offers to help, eagerly asking him to leave it to her. Alex hesitates, saying he can't just leave it to her. However, Lydia has already started casting a glowing magical circle while confidently reminding him that shamans can manipulate the earth. She begins chanting, causing the earth to tremble. Amazed, Alex watches as the soil lifts, forming the pit, and stones float, creating a wall. Suddenly, Lydia's legs start shaking profusely and she collapses, drained of strength. Worried, Alex quickly catches her and Lydia apologizes, saying she didn't have enough magical power. Just then, Lydia mentions she's feeling kind of warm from the inside. Smiling, Alex tells her that one of his paladin skills allows him to share his magical power with anyone he comes in direct contact with. Now revitalized, Lydia successfully completes the wall and pit defenses with newfound strength. Grateful and astonished, Alex praises Lydia's incredible work. He thanks her for saving him a lot of time, though he worries about her exhaustion. Offering his hand, Alex warmly helps Lydia up. As he piggybacks her, he reassures her that together, sharing their strength, they'll overcome all challenges ahead. Carried on Alex's back, Lydia quietly enjoys the warmth of Alex's magic. It flows into her gently, wrapping her like a soft blanket. Feeling nostalgic, Alex shares with Lydia how his childhood friends also had amazing magic spells. He recalls a distant memory of when they first started as adventurers. Back then, Ellie and Roland would often collapse from magic exhaustion. Just as he piggybacks Lydia now, he would carry them while secretly sharing his magic with them. Feeling jealous, Lydia then asks if that friend was a man or a woman. Nervous, Alex admits it was a woman while wondering if he had said something wrong. Instantly, Lydia's mood shifts and she puffs her cheeks in silent frustration. Confused, Alex asks why she's mad. But Lydia just sulks, reminding him that she's the one being carried right now. On getting to the house, Alex suggests they take a break and then asks Lydia if she's hungry. He tells her he only has some emergency rations, but Lydia insists she's fine, saying a bit of sleep should make her feel better. Guilt flashes across Alex's face. He knows she's pushing herself for his sake. Suddenly, Lydia, holding a thin blanket, shyly says she's cold and asks if they could sleep together, catching Alex off guard. One night passes in the barren wasteland, and Alex wakes up to a bright morning, slowly opening his eyes. Still groggy, he shifts slightly, then freezes when he sees Lydia sleeping peacefully in the same bed. Startled, Alex stares in disbelief and silently calls her name. Lydia, still half asleep, stretches and greets him with a soft, "Good morning." Suddenly, Lydia sneezes and Alex, concerned, asks if she's all right. He quickly wraps a blanket around her as he realizes she must have clung to him for warmth and then makes a mental note to request some clothes from the guild. Just then, Alex notices a supply crate near the door. When he moves closer, he is surprised to realize that supplies from the guild have arrived. He opens it, and inside he finds food ingredients, tools, household goods, and some men's clothing. Lydia joins him, thrilled to see flour and butter, and Alex also informs her that there are plants to grow inside too. Looking out the window, Lydia sees that the plant outside has started bearing fruits and lights up. She excitedly offers to combine the fruits with the supplies they have to cook something, and Alex, smiling, thanks her. In the meantime, Alex decides to repair the shed door destroyed during the earlier monster attack. With chores divided, Lydia beams with pride, promising to make the best meal she can. Later, Alex heads outside to inspect the surrounding land. He notes signs of a previously attempted field, but the soil is rock solid. He tries digging, but the ground refuses to budge. Even with effort, it's far tougher than expected. Surveying the area, Alex grows concerned when he notices that the land stretches endlessly with nothing but dry terrain, and even worse, there's no water source nearby. Frustrated, Alex wonders aloud why this place was even chosen as a development base. Suddenly, a heavy thud shakes the ground behind Alex. Turning around, Alex spots a monstrous tree creature with evil glowing eyes dragging itself across the barren earth. Alex is shocked to realize that there are still strong monsters roaming the area and inhales deeply in frustration. As the monster lets out a bone-chilling roar and lumbers forward with its massive roots, Alex readies himself. However, before attacking, Alex glances back toward the house and decides to handle this quickly so he can return to Lydia. Meanwhile, inside the house, Lydia hums to herself as she creates water using magic to wash the dishes. As Alex returns, he is surprised to learn that Lydia is a waterbender. Lydia confirms it and then says lunch is ready. On the table are fluffy pancakes and sweet fruit garnish, which stuns Alex because he was never expecting such a delicacy. Wasting no time, our boy digs in, savoring the taste. He's impressed. Everything is delicious, from the pancakes to the fruit picked fresh outside. After the meal, Lydia, excited, thanks Alex for his hard work and then offers a shower to wash off after the day's work. Hesitant, Alex asks if her magical power will be enough to handle a shower, to which Lydia reminds him she can handle the water magic, especially if he joins in too to help supply magical power. Alex gets flustered by the thought of sharing magic through physical contact, but Lydia nervously assures him it's okay. With that, Alex reluctantly agrees. Soon after, as the two stand together in the bathing area, Alex faces away, promising not to look, but Lydia tells him it's fine and gets ready to use her magic. Casting a spell known as Blessed Water, magical water starts spiraling around them. Alex holds her hand to help with her magic and then asks if it's okay, to which Lydia says it's fine. Lydia tells him she can feel the magic flowing through her, completely refreshed by the experience. Alex, meanwhile, tries to keep his composure but finds it a little torturous, in a good way. Suddenly, Lydia slips, tumbles straight into Alex and presses her soft melons against his scrawny body. Lydia apologizes, flustered, saying she just slipped, but Alex, red-faced, quickly tells her to leave it for now and then says it's best they get going. Later, both change into fresh clothes, with Lydia putting on Alex's clothes. So Alex promises to ask the guild for new clothes for her next time, but Lydia quietly admits she wouldn't mind if things stayed just as they are. Suddenly, a magic circle glows with a message from the guild. It's Tabitha, asking if the supplies have arrived and if anything's missing. Alex thanks her and quickly tells her he needs something. Alex requests some women's clothes, and Tabitha, caught off guard, reacts in shock. Tabitha's eyes go wide as she hears the weird request and wonders if Alex is desperate for some cheeks to clap so badly, or maybe even wants to wear the clothes himself. Flustered, Alex quickly denies it. Trying to change the subject, Tabitha then asks if he doesn't need more food or something like bread or pasta, but Alex insists he doesn't need anything else. He informs her he already had delicious pancakes that day. Tabitha then offers to send cakes or fruits next, but Alex mentions he already had some apples. Surprised, Tabitha asks how it's even possible for them to find fruits there, since it's supposed to be a harsh environment. Alex is about to respond, but then he pauses and asks what kind of place they're actually living in. Tabitha then explains it's a land ruled by demons called the Fourth Demon Realm. This revelation shocks Alex and Lydia, who initially thought it was just an ordinary remote post. Tabitha then apologizes for the lack of preparation, admitting things should have been handled better. But Alex tells her it's fine and tries to figure out how far it is if they want to return home. Tabitha replies, telling him that returning will be hard without magic, and the only sage capable of teleportation is currently unavailable. She says it'll take at least 2 months before help can arrive. Tabitha then offers some hope, saying if they head south, they'll find a distant town, but it's a long journey and danger lurks everywhere. Upon hearing this, Alex wonders how safe it is to start exploring toward civilization. Before ending the call, Tabitha drops another surprise. She says a woman from the guild has volunteered to help Alex, and she's planning to send her soon, causing Lydia to immediately stiffen, totally uncomfortable with the idea. Alex notices Lydia's reaction to this and declines the offer, saying the land isn't ready for extra staff yet. Tabitha then awkwardly accepts the answer, promising to check again later. At the end of the call, Lydia, a little embarrassed, asks if turning down help was really okay. Alex smiles, deciding that for now, it's best if it's just the two of them, and then suggests they focus on developing the land together. This makes Lydia excited as she grabs Alex's hand and agrees that they need to start with expanding the field. Night settles over the house as Alex lies in bed, looking a bit stiff, while Lydia quietly snuggles close to him, making him wonder how long this nightly routine will continue. Turning toward him, Lydia admits it feels chilly again tonight and then nervously asks if she can sleep beside him once more. Clearly embarrassed, Alex realizes he should have requested a better blanket or maybe even warmer clothes. Before he can say much, Lydia gently pats the space beside her. Alex hesitates for a second, but then smiles and asks her to come closer. Relieved, Lydia beams and nestles in, looking happier than ever. With Lydia sleeping beside him, Alex looks at her, lost in thought. He worries about her condition, and because of this, he has turned down the offer to bring more people to their camp. But looking at the state of the soil, they will definitely need someone who knows farming, or maybe a blacksmith who can make tough tools. With that, he decides to ask Lydia about it another time. Meanwhile, at the guild, Ellie sits anxiously, waiting for news. Tabitha sighs and then quietly apologizes, informing her that Alex rejected the offer for more help. Shocked, Ellie nearly falls off her seat. To calm her, Tabitha tells Ellie that apparently food isn't an issue for Alex. Ellie is relieved to hear that, but she points out that staying in the demon realm is still risky without a proper wizard. Ellie, still sad about Alex's departure from the party, blurts out that a party without Alex just feels wrong. Seeing her desperation, Tabitha warns her that going to the demon realm now might be too dangerous. Ellie, worried, asks if Alex is in trouble. Tabitha dramatically says no, but then warns Ellie that Alex himself is a risk factor who might be compared to a hungry wolf. Suddenly, someone interrupts, demanding to know what Ellie is doing. It's the jealous gremlin, Roland, who smugly informs her that their new party's first quest is to head into the dungeon. Ellie immediately protests, saying it's impossible to go into the dungeon without Alex. Roland, furious, demands to know why she is talking about Alex. Desperate to convince her, Roland lies that Alex couldn't keep up with their fights, and that was the reason he left the party. He grabs Ellie by the shoulder, begging her to understand, but Ellie struggles to hold back her emotions. Thinking back, Ellie wonders if Alex really left because he couldn't keep up with their battles, but something about that doesn't sit right. Ellie understands that their party moved so easily in battle not just because Alex distracted enemies, but because he was doing so much for them. Without Alex, Roland mentions he already hired replacements: Roy, the soldier boy, and Grace, the dual wielder. He insists that the party doesn't need a clumsy shielder like Alex, and that they'll focus only on firepower with minimal defenses. That said, Roland rallies the party, urging them to go to the dungeon. Soon after, deep in the dungeon, chaos erupts. Roland yells, shocked that the battle feels so much tougher. Grace gets injured. Blaming everyone but himself, Roland shouts at Grace for being too slow and weak. His frustration boils over as he turns to Roy, yelling that reducing his own damage is good, but if his attacks are weak, it just causes problems for everyone else. Now battered and exhausted, the party can barely stand. Roland scolds Roy, saying it makes no difference if he is there or not. Roy finally snaps. He shouts that it's impossible for an ordinary shield man to do all that. He tells Roland that it's basic dungeon 1-0-1 knowledge that enemy groups are split into smaller groups to fight. Yet Roland rushes in like someone without a single brain cell, dragging the group along. But Roland replies, saying Alex does stuff like that all the time. Grace, still hurt, asks if she's supposed to handle status effects too or if everyone just heals later. When Roland pauses, unsure of what to say to her, Grace demands to know what he's even been doing. Disappointed, she asks Roland if he never actually tried to solve these issues himself. At that moment, Roland finally realizes that all this time they had relied on Alex more than they knew, which makes Roland groan in frustration. Overcome by pride, Roland yells at the new recruits, telling them not to blame others for their uselessness. He says he wasn't going to pay them a dime and then asks them to get lost. Roy hisses in annoyance while Grace mentions that she wasn't planning on staying anyway. Before leaving, Grace turns to Ellie and offers some advice to be taken with a grain of salt. She quietly warns her that staying with Roland the way he is might be dangerous, and advises that Ellie should think about what to do in the future. Later that night, Roland vents his frustration alone, slamming his hand down and complaining about all the useless people in his party. But Ellie advises that calling someone useless is a harsh thing to say. Still, Roland insists that useless people deserve to be called out. Furious, he rants that the dungeon mission wasn't even an S-rank request, but an A-rank. Irritated, Roland claims they could have finished the job much more easily if he hadn't been held back. Ellie is about to say something before Roland smirks and starts talking about replacements. He hints that he's already found someone very special to fill the gap and already has an appointment with this mysterious person for the next day. Ellie, tired of the drama, simply says she gets it and decides to go rest as well. Before heading to bed, Roland grabs Ellie's waist and tries to tease her, asking if he could sleep with her if she's lonely. Without hesitation, Ellie slaps his stupid hand away and tells him to stop messing around. Then she wishes him good night and leaves the room. Left alone, Ellie softly calls out Alex's name, her mind clearly lingering on him. Meanwhile, Alex works outside, chopping wood and feeling a strange sensation in his hand. Lydia notices his distraction and asks if he's okay. Alex brushes it off, thinking it might just be his imagination. Suddenly, Alex rushes forward, swinging his weapon with a burst of energy as he unleashes Holy Cross into the attacking monsters. Before the monsters can regroup, Alex calls out to Lydia, saying it's time. Lydia immediately raises her hands and calmly chants, "Stone wall." Instantly, bricks appear out of thin air, slamming together and forming a sturdy barrier. Just like that, the land is secured. With the monsters handled, Lydia excitedly assures Alex she'll keep expanding the walls using her magic whenever he clears the area. As the days pass, the barrier grows, stretching closer to the distant southern city. Following that, Alex decides to plow the fields and asks Lydia to go get some rest inside the house. However, Lydia insists on helping too, offering to dig using her magic. Alex shakes his head and tells her he wants to do his part too, even if it's just manual labor. Lightly patting her head, Alex reminds Lydia not to be too dependent on magic and promises to work patiently, bit by bit, building up their new home. Suddenly, Lydia staggers and almost collapses from exhaustion. Before she falls, Alex catches her and quickly shares his mana with her through share magic. He then urges Lydia to rest, explaining that sleep is still the best way to recover her strength. With Lydia safe, Alex returns to the field, plowing the hard ground. Over the next 7 days, he develops a steady routine, expanding their territory, improving the soil, and watching their small settlement slowly grow. Even so, he wonders if it's a good time to bring in extra help, but is quite skeptical about how Lydia will react to it. Still, he would like to ease her burden even for a little bit. At sunset, Alex returns home and Lydia greets him with a warm smile, relieved to see him back safe and sound. Dressed like a baddie, she proudly shows him her new outfit and then giggles softly, trying to hide her excitement. She explains that her old clothes were dirty, so she changed into the ones he gave her. Leaning in, she asks what he thinks of the outfit on her, her eyes sparkling with hope. Alex blushes, a bit overwhelmed, but quickly says the outfit looks amazing and suits her well. Lydia lights up, clearly thrilled by the compliment. Before the moment drags on, Lydia, embarrassed, twirls away, insisting dinner will be ready soon. Suddenly, she notices a strange light glowing from Alex's hand. Shocked, Alex stares at his own palm, confused. But then he remembers and wonders if it's the slave release skill. 7 days have already passed since he last used it, so he questions if the skill is fully charged now. Alex explains to Lydia that it's the same power he used to summon her. He tells her it's an extra skill that lets him summon one slave from anywhere in the world. After sharing, Alex hesitates, worried about how Lydia feels about bringing someone else. But Lydia shocks him by saying she's no longer afraid of other people coming. With a determined fist, Alex then declares that if someone is suffering as a slave, he wants to use the skill to help, and Lydia understands his resolve. Together, they agree to activate the skill. With a burst of energy, Alex uses slave release, and suddenly, a young, melonless girl materializes in front of them amidst a flash of light. Meanwhile, a few minutes before this happened, deep in a mine, a beer-bellied goblin barks at his exhausted slaves, ordering them to get to work. Another goblin points out that replacements are needed for those who collapse. On the side, a young girl is whipped and falls to the ground, sweat dripping down her face as she swings her pickaxe with trembling hands. Every muscle in her body aches, and she begs for help to be freed from this slavery. Suddenly, out of nowhere, magic symbols activate beneath her feet. Shocked, she wonders what the symbols mean. A voice responds, telling her that the slave liberation skill has been activated. The mysterious voice offers her a chance at escape. All she has to do is take a step forward. Nervous but desperate, the girl lifts her foot, stepping toward the glowing magic circle. On the other side, Alex stands waiting, caught completely off guard, as a girl flies out of the magic circle, pickaxe still in hand and chains clinking around her neck. Shocked, Alex tries to process who this girl is. The girl nearly collapses, but Alex quickly steadies her, asking if she's all right. The slave girl, still clutching her pickaxe like a lifeline, looks up, confused, and then asks where she is and who Alex is. Alex, on the other hand, studies her, notices her dirt-stained body, her worn-out pickaxe, and can't believe the young girl had been forced to work in a mine. The slave girl, Nina, then asks if Alex is her new overseer, her voice trembling. Before getting a reply, she looks to the side and sees Alex's sword. Frightened, she promises to listen properly if he promises not to hurt her. But Alex assures her everything is okay while telling her to relax and breathe easy. With Nina finally calm, Alex asks if she'll hear him out, and she nervously nods. With that, Alex introduces himself as a paladin and then points to Lydia, introducing her as a shaman from the elf tribe. After getting the full gist from Lydia, Nina is surprised to learn she was summoned by a skill. Lydia also opens up on how she used to be a slave, with the same mark on her stomach. But then she softly mentions how Alex used his slave liberation skill to save her, removing both her collar and crest. Afterwards, Alex steps in and apologizes, admitting he can't use teleportation magic for a while. However, he promises even though he can't take her to town right away, he will as soon as possible, and then gently assures her that she's free now. Shocked, the girl looks a bit unsure, but Alex reassures her on Scout's honor that he's a paladin, so he doesn't lie. Overwhelmed with emotions, Nina clutches her chest, unable to believe that, for the first time, she's truly free. Suddenly, her body heats up as her slave crest breaks away. With tears and a huge grin, Nina shouts that her neck and body feel light for the first time. Before Alex can react, she dives into his arms, hugging him tightly and thanking him over and over. Alex gently pats her head. Her cheerfulness makes him feel like he has a little sister. From the sidelines, Lydia watches and can almost hear Alex's thoughts. She whispers into his ear, quietly revealing Nina isn't actually a kid, she's a dwarf. Despite her childlike appearance, Nina's a fully grown adult woman with oozing floodgates. Alex freezes, caught completely off guard, while Nina beams and says she's Nina the dwarf, introducing herself with full energy. Awkwardly, Alex tries to play it cool, but he's obviously embarrassed as he admits he totally assumed she was just an innocent brat. With a soft smile, Nina says that was the first time she's ever been held so gently. Flustered, Alex apologizes for acting without thinking. Still, Nina insists it made her happy. Later, Nina asks if Alex and Lydia live here alone, and Alex confirms, explaining that they're developing the land together. Curious, Nina asks what developing means. Before Lydia can explain, Nina makes up her mind and decides to help out too. Excited, Nina throws her hands in the air, announcing she wants to help with the settlement. Shocked, Alex tries to protest, but Nina insists, saying he is her benefactor and she wants to repay him somehow. Still, Alex says he appreciates the offer, but recalling that they were planning to request extra hands from the guild, he wonders if it will work. Nina begs, promising to do anything, so Alex gives in and asks if she can cook. Nina claims she'll handle the cooking, but admits she's better at eating than actually cooking. Alex then asks if Nina can use holy attribute attacks, but Nina nervously shakes her head. Alex tries again, asking if she's ever worked on a farm. Nina hesitates, then suggests maybe she can help with harvesting. Suddenly, after a brief thought, Nina gets an idea and shouts that she's good at blacksmithing, leaving Alex and Lydia in shock and disbelief. Alex asks Nina if what she's saying is true, that she's a blacksmith. Without hesitation, Nina confirms, saying she can use blacksmithing magic. Intrigued, Alex asks if it's some kind of job skill. Nina says yes, then explains that she couldn't use her blacksmithing magic before because of her slave mark, but now she's finally free to show off her skills. Nina throws her arms wide and grins, repeating that she's a real blacksmith. Before anyone can recover from the shock, Nina asks for permission to look around and then asks to go outside. Alex shrugs and agrees, so Nina darts off, eyes sparkling. Moments later, Nina shouts that she's found something perfect. She stands over a pile of junk wood and pulls out an old, rusted sword. Curious, Alex wonders what she plans to do with it. The sword looks hopeless, but Nina just smiles and tells him to watch closely. Raising her hands, Nina shouts that she's ready and unleashes her magic. In a flash, she activates Shape Shift, and the ground glows beneath the sword. Suddenly, the rusty blade begins transforming, magic swirling all around it. Surprised, Alex and Lydia watch as the battered sword morphs right before their eyes into a shiny metal pot. Nina explains that as long as she has the base material, she can make tools, enhance weapons, and even detect ores. Alex is amazed by what he just saw, while Lydia is awestruck. Excited, Lydia comments that now they can cook with a real pot instead of just a frying pan. Overjoyed, Lydia hugs the plotless AirPod and thanks her for being so useful. Following that intense moment, Alex apologizes for making things tough for the group and promises to check what they need before their next supply run. But Lydia tells him not to worry, promising she'll make sure to check what they need herself first. Nina then chimes in, saying she could even build houses with enough materials, shocking Alex. The midget happily assures Alex that if he needs anything, he should just let her know. Alex points out the real problem: they don't have enough materials. He says they can gather wood, but they barely have any iron. Nina's eyes light up and she immediately offers to help. Dropping to the ground, Nina activates Ore Detection, sending waves of magic through the earth. After a moment, she declares that she's detected iron ore directly beneath them. She informs them that at their depth, mining is totally possible, causing Alex's jaw to drop. That aside, Nina marvels at the wide, open land. Amazed, she asks if Alex and Lydia really developed all of it themselves. Alex nods, giving Lydia most of the credit. But Lydia jumps in, insisting it's not true, explaining that Alex shares his mana with her and also protects the area from monsters. Hearing about monsters, Nina asks for details. Lydia tells her there are monsters beyond the giant wall, specifically a shadow wolf. Nina freezes in shock, hearing that shadow wolves inhabit the area. She reminds Lydia that shadow wolves are considered disaster-class monsters. Lydia agrees, but then says Alex takes them down easily. Impressed, Nina stares at Alex and tells him he is amazing, making the shy boy look away, flustered. Eager, Nina asks if she can spot a shadow wolf from here, and Alex tells her to look into the distance. So Nina climbs onto Alex's back for a better view. Still, she complains she can't see well from where they are, so Alex moves forward and lifts her onto his shoulder. After a bit of balancing, Nina finally spots a shadow wolf beyond the wall. Excited and surprised, she tells Alex she still can't believe he takes down such a monster and calls him amazing again. Alex brushes off the praise and warns her not to lean out too far, but Nina insists she'll be fine. While trying to see more, she rubs her moist peach against Alex's shoulders, making him brick up. Nina notices his red face and asks what's wrong. Alex freezes for a moment, then suddenly bows his head and apologizes for reasons he can't explain. Lydia, watching from the side, looks confused by Alex's sudden panic. With the excitement over, Alex suggests it's time to head back. Everyone agrees and the group returns to the house. Later, while dressing Nina's hair, she thanks Lydia for the meal and everything else. But Lydia brushes off the gratitude, calling the food simple. Alex walks in with a grin and, noticing how close the girls are, comments that they seem just like sisters. The girls look surprised and Alex admits he's happy to see everyone getting along. That said, Alex notes that the house is starting to feel a little cramped. But Lydia and Nina both claim they don't mind, obviously glad to have this newfound family. Lydia mentions that, compared to the awful conditions she slept in as a slave, the current house feels more like luxury to her. Nina agrees, and with a bright face, she assures Alex that as long as she has materials, she can build them a house and make beds in no time. Alex smiles and pats her head, telling her he'll be counting on her from now on. Happy, Nina gives a determined nod. That concluded, Lydia mentions that the next day they will be making beds, while Alex offers to cut wood, and Nina encourages them all to do their best. Starting a new day, Alex lines up the crew and announces everyone's tasks. He's handling wood gathering for new bedding. Lydia's on field duty, prepping the land, while Nina is assigned to mining ore. With everyone ready, Alex signals the start, and the squad jumps into action. Alex gets serious with the axe, chopping down trees like he's playing whack-a-mole on hard mode. One quick swing and a whole log comes tumbling down. Satisfied, Alex hauls the lumber back to the farm. Meanwhile, Lydia's out on the field, weaving water magic when Alex steps in to help her out. Together, they start turning the stubborn, barren land into something halfway decent. The soil gradually softens, and even Lydia looks impressed. Before long, they are already brainstorming fertilizer ideas. Alex wonders if food scraps will work, and Lydia agrees. Then Alex thinks about Nina, wondering how she's faring mining the ore. So Lydia offers to check on the little powerhouse later. Lydia then brings up the issue of the slave liberation skill, asking if Alex will use it right away when it's ready again. But Alex pauses. He admits he's been thinking about it differently, and then says he has been rushing into it, acting purely on the desire to help. Alex explains his new logic. Even if he frees more slaves, they can't just head home right away, they will have to stay with them for a while. In their current situation, taking in more people would only bring them into a new kind of hardship. He admits he has already put enough on Lydia and Nina's shoulders, since they were the first ones he freed. For now, Alex mentions he's determined to focus on developing the land so he can truly help freed slaves in the future. However, Lydia protests, insisting she never felt burdened at all. She tries to say more, but suddenly Nina bursts in, grabbing Alex's hand and asking him to come with her quickly. She takes him close to a cliff and then asks him to take a look. Alex stares, eyes wide, at what is before his very eyes. Nina stands inside a giant spiral trench, grinning with pride, and excitedly asks if it's amazing. Before Alex, still in disbelief, could respond, Nina calls him to take a closer look. Now both of them stand inside the massive spiral, and Alex comments on how incredible it is. Nina mentions that this method makes it easier for her to dig. Apparently, it's revealed that it's actually an open-pit mining, a surface method for extracting ore without the need for tunnels. Meanwhile, Nina says she actually liked digging even back when she worked as a slave. She explains that's why she kept going until the trench became so deep. Impressed, Alex admits that even if someone enjoys digging, managing to get this far is on another level of crack. Nina shrugs off the compliment, saying the reason she got really into it is because she just wanted to be useful to him. Then, Nina points at what she had been working on all day, asking Alex to take a look. She reveals 2 crates overflowing with iron ore collected from the pit. Alex is shocked to the bone seeing just how much the lowly had accomplished in just a day. Nina admits there's probably even more ore below but wanted to report back first. Grateful, Alex pats Nina on the head, thanking her for the hard work. Nina closes her eyes and grins, soaking in the praise. Suddenly, Lydia calls out, offering to help carry the ore. She brings some sacks from the house, suggesting they divide the ore into smaller loads and carry it in portions. Alex flexes a bit, saying he'll carry an entire crate himself, leaving Lydia in awe of his strength. Meanwhile, Lydia and Nina are left to carry the ore with the sacks. Determined, Lydia lifts her bag while Nina struggles to haul hers as well. Sometime later, everyone collapses in exhaustion, and Alex comments that they will definitely be needing proper mining equipment. Nina admits she got sweatier hauling sacks than digging the pit, while Lydia points out Nina's clothes are a mess and suggests taking a shower. But Nina dramatically waves it off, saying she's fine and that Lydia must be tired too. Instead, Nina announces she just needs to dry her clothes a bit. Lydia and Alex are surprised to see the midget pulling her shirt up. Lydia immediately shouts, telling her to stop undressing out in the open. Flustered, Nina freezes mid-change as Lydia quickly moves to cover her, preventing her plotless body from showing to Alex, while Alex scrambles to cover his eyes. Lydia then grabs a towel and starts gently wiping Nina's face, telling her to just put something on already. Alex then apologizes to Lydia, looking a bit guilty for all the trouble. But Lydia, looking off to the side with a soft, gloomy expression, quietly calls him a dummy. The following day, Alex stands with his arms folded, looking completely lost in thought. Seeing Lydia walking past him carrying 2 baskets, he offers to help. But Lydia, with a determined expression, says it's fine, insisting it's all her responsibility. That said, she marches past him with a giant basket balanced on her head, leaving Alex confused. Lately, Lydia's been acting pretty strange, and Alex can't help but notice she's pushing herself way too hard. He appreciates her effort, but the girl is moving like she's trying to break some kind of Guinness record for best hustler. After a bit, Alex decides to talk to her and asks if she has a moment. Lydia, still in work mode, turns around, confused. Alex tells her to sit down for once and just take a break. Flexing his muscles, Alex announces he'll handle lunch, leaving Lydia genuinely shocked. He admits he's been dumping all the chores on her and feels bad about it. He then apologizes for always relying on her. But Lydia protests, claiming she's not overdoing it and that Alex doesn't need to apologize. Lydia insists cooking is her job and she won't give it up. Alex stands his ground but starts to sweat when Lydia questions if he can even cook at all. At noon, Alex approaches Nina and asks if she knows what's up with Lydia lately and why she's so tense. Nina thinks hard but doesn't have a clue either. However, she admits even she can tell that Lydia is definitely overdoing it. Still, Nina says Lydia's always been like a big sister to her, and if Lydia's working this hard, then she wants to match her energy and dig up even more ore. Alex smiles and thanks her. Patting her head, he tells her he's counting on her, while Lydia sits in jealousy, spying on them from inside the house. Realizing that tiptoeing around the problem won't work, Alex finally heads inside to talk to Lydia head-on. On entering the house, he finds Lydia and calls out to her directly, ready to get to the bottom of what's been bothering her. But suddenly, Lydia collapses straight into his arms, catching him completely off guard. Shocked, Alex shouts her name and frantically asks what's wrong. He apologizes for pushing her too hard, but Lydia insists she's fine and claims she's not overexerting herself. Now getting emotional, Lydia calls Alex out for constantly apologizing and assuming how she feels. She admits she wants to be more than just some rescued slave and says she wants to be someone Alex can rely on. For a moment, Alex is speechless. Then Lydia asks if he still sees her as a pitiful slave or as one of his comrades. The protagonist finally admits she's right. He's been apologizing non-stop lately, and it's become a habit. Lydia puffs up and points out that he's doing it again. Alex then reassures Lydia, telling her he does see her as a true comrade. He confesses he felt guilty relying on her too much, especially since, as comrades, the burden should be shared equally. Lydia looks down, admitting she felt a little insecure since Nina came along and started wondering if she still has a place there. Both apologize at the same time, saying they need to learn how to be honest with each other. Laughing off the awkwardness, Lydia finally asks if Alex can pet her on the head too, just like he does for Nina. Alex agrees and gives her a gentle pat, making Lydia's face light up with a bright, relieved smile. Meanwhile, Nina is back at the mine, still working hard. Suddenly, she breaks through the rock and discovers a hidden cave. Shocked, Nina stares into the darkness, wondering what kind of place she just uncovered. Later that day at home, Alex stares in disbelief as Nina tells him she found a cave while mining. Nina reveals that she kept digging until she found traces of iron inside. Before anyone gets too hyped, Alex points out that they need the iron, but who knows what's lurking down there. He suggests they make proper preparations before investigating. Lydia insists on joining the expedition, and Alex quickly agrees, seeing no point in arguing. Now, with everyone on board, Alex lays out the plan. He says they're still in demon territory, so they can't just assume it's a friendly neighborhood cave. He also states their mission: to scout out the cave, confirm it's safe, and figure out how big it is. Lydia doubles down on prep, making sure everyone's ready for tomorrow's adventure. Nina, hyped as usual, says she'll polish her pickaxe, while Alex plans to shine up his armor and sword. But before then, Lydia suggests they do something important first. In the bathroom, Lydia uses water magic, roping everyone into a group bath while pointing out that Nina still hasn't showered in weeks, like some of the viewers. Meanwhile, Alex finds this way too unbearable for his mental health. Trying to escape the situation, he mutters about leaving to bathe elsewhere. But Lydia snaps, telling him not to hold back just to save magic power. Nina, meanwhile, teases Alex, wondering if he's blushing. He denies it, but Nina starts staring at his V-taper, looking really impressed. She then compliments Alex for being ripped, saying he's amazing, causing him further embarrassment. Lydia, a little jealous, warns her to cut it out. Feeling insecure about her flat body, Nina starts comparing body types between elves and dwarves. She points out that Lydia is tall and slender, with curves in all the right places, then begins playfully fondling Lydia's melons, making her climax. Flustered, Alex makes his getaway, declaring he's getting out immediately. The next morning, the team gets ready for action. Alex suits up in his armor while Lydia calmly slips on her gloves. Meanwhile, Nina tightens her grip on her trusty pickaxe. The squad looks like they're about to shoot a fantasy magazine cover, and Alex announces, "It's time to head out." The crew arrives at the cave entrance, and Alex reminds everyone that it's a small investigation. They're only checking if the cave is safe. Lydia gives an enthusiastic "got it," while Nina is already itching to head inside. The trio steps into the darkness, torches ready. Nina points out they're close to the iron reserves, but Lydia gets spooked by how eerily quiet everything feels. Alex just stands there, getting nostalgic. It all feels like a dungeon expedition to him, making him wonder why a place like this exists underground. Suddenly, Alex spots something like a bone from a skeleton on the ground. This tenses him up, making him alert to the presence of something lurking in the shadows. He immediately shouts, ordering everyone to get ready, so Lydia and Nina jump in, weapons raised. Just then, a giant armored spider monster approaches from the shadows. Alex announces for everyone to get ready, and the group squares up as the armored bug approaches. As the monster charges at them, Lydia fires off a wind blade, but the creature barely flinches. Panicking, Lydia shouts a warning about the scorpion's paralyzing venom. But Alex charges in, delivering a flashy sword swing that sends the first monster crashing, while telling Lydia that poison doesn't work on a paladin. Nina and Lydia are left wide-eyed, seeing Alex's impressive attack. Alex then scans around and notices more scorpions crawling out. Upon seeing a big scorpion emerging from the shadows, Lydia alerts everyone, warning that it's an elite monster known as the Iron Scorpion. Alex immediately attacks the monster, but his sword bounces right off its shell, leaving him mildly offended. He complains about how tough the shell is, much like it's made from solid iron. Lydia then swaps in, calling out Earth Spear, and spikes erupt under the monster's feet. Nina also wants in on the fun. She leaps forward, yelling for everyone to leave the monster to her. The minion swings her pickaxe like a baseball bat, landing a critical hit that sends cracks through the monster's iron shell. With the monster almost defeated, Lydia calls Alex Big Bro and tells him to aim for the wound. Alex obeys and goes all in, slashing with a massive cross attack. Metal screeches fill the cave as his sword lands, finally cracking the beast's tough armor. With the monster defeated, Alex is surprised that, despite how tough it was, the armor actually did crack. Smiling, Nina admits she tried her mining skill and the monster's shell felt just like iron. Intrigued, the protagonist asks if her mining skills really work on living creatures, and Nina responds, saying as long as the purity's high, anything goes. Before anyone can doubt her, she starts waving her hands over the corpse, activating her blacksmithing magic. Alex and Lydia's eyes widen as Nina then hands over a solid iron ingot she made from the iron using her skills. Also, Nina points to the wall and tells Alex to touch it. Confused, the protagonist presses his hand to the rock and instantly realizes the wall is full of clay. Excited, Alex says they can now harvest clay, build a kiln, and start making their own pottery. With that, he says they will be able to make their own plates and cups. Looking around the cave in shock, Alex announces that the place is basically a treasure trove of materials. Will Alex and his girls defeat the monsters in the cave and claim the resources in there? Comment "Banished Paladin" if you're hyped to see what happens next in Part 2. If you enjoyed this video, drop a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching as always.